Ben is somebody that I've got to know over the last few years. Hello, Ben.
Hi, James.
We're on. It's going to be short and sharp. So Ben actually launched a campaign that I've been supporting called GenieShares, highlighting entrepreneurs and founders and companies that contribute a percentage of revenue or equity to their local community. And prior to this, some of you will know we used to run events in level 39 of the big One Canary Wharf building, and Ben used to run that through for a few years. Interestingly, he's consulted the UK government, and prior to that, he was a Royal Marine, and he is also someone that's built and sold a company. So Ben, thank you for being here. Can you just give us some insights into GenieShares and what this is all about?
Certainly, James. Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to join you. I guess GenieShares really began about 2.5 years ago, and it began because I was, as you said, at level 39, which is a cluster of about 200, mainly fintech and cybersecurity companies, mostly B2B, complex, long sales cycles, dealing with a relatively small target set of clients, mainly big global financial services firms. I was very conscious, though, that while we had some companies with brilliant technology and some very, very impressive people from 50 different countries, about 1,250 people in the community as a whole, I was kind of conscious that it wasn't very clear to many people outside the building what we were doing, what the companies in Level 39 were doing. And at a time when technology businesses were often seen as the salvation of financial services, that was great. But as the focus shifted, I guess, and technology businesses increasingly were associated with social ills like fake news and embedded bias, I could see that collectively we didn't have a really good way of showing that we were on the right side of history, that the companies in a community like that were really net positive for the world and the community as a whole. And GenieShares is an attempt to respond to that. So rather than providing complex technical arguments, which are only ever going to appeal to niche customers and almost certainly won't interest members of the public, policymakers, the media, it seemed important to find a way in which companies could form a real connection from the heart rather than simply appealing to the head with complex technical and economic arguments. That's why we came up with GenieShares.
Did you set out, I mean, are you seeing that community and purpose-driven companies is more important? Have you seen that as a result of the pandemic as well, that it's been made more important?
Well, I think since the pandemic has really hit, I guess some technology businesses have become indispensable. And it's easy to think of organizations like Zoom and our hosts here at Hopin as well, for example. But I think that's a relatively temporary experience for some. Of course, the backdrop, the longer term trend is big companies, including some of the big US firms, being challenged increasingly on the extent to which they play a part in the community. And so, for example, in our work with Salesforce, we very much enjoyed the fact that here is a way for big companies to demonstrate their support for and engagement with SMEs, the way in which they help entrepreneurs really embed into their communities, the way they make business relevant, not just to the, if you like, the hotspots of London and financial services, but throughout the community, and indeed not just in this country, but around the world.
That's fantastic. And so one final point, you've worked in the forces, you've built and sold a company. What advice would you have for, or one tip for the leaders out there in these difficult times?
Well, thank you. What an exciting question. I guess there's a lot to do. The thing which seems to me most important, and I've observed 200 companies, some thriving, some not, in the Level 39 community. Surprisingly, counterintuitively, the thing which, and I think Aaron touched on this earlier, the thing which really helps is simplicity, keeping it clear. Of course, you know the details of what you do. It's complex, it's hard work. Choosing what not to say is the key skill. Figuring out how you can really cut through with a message which is clear. And in many cases, that's much more easily done when you talk about why you do it, when you appeal to the heart, not just to the head.
Lovely. Ben, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for all the work you're doing out there in the community. And there's you've already spoken previously for Sales Confidence. So anybody who wants to hear more from Ben can go on to YouTube. And I look forward to hearing more. So thank you, Ben. You can pop off and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks very much. Great to see you.